Your household income is in excess of $400,000 to $500,000 a year, and so you've been led to believe that you cannot thereby make contributions directly to Roth IRAs. What your CPA or tax preparer probably hasn't told you is that is in fact not true. Your household income is in excess of maybe $400,000 to $500,000 a year, and so you've been thereby led to believe that you're not able to make contributions to Roth IRA investment accounts. Your CPA or tax preparer probably hasn't told you, but there's actually a legal backdoor that allows high-income earners and high-net-worth individuals to make ongoing contributions to Roth IRA accounts for both themselves and their spouses, and if the strategy is implemented over 5, 10, 20 plus years, there's a real potential to build a meaningful balance in a Roth IRA account and to thereby derive all the benefits that Roth IRAs have for those entering or approaching retirement. So what's the real problem here? Why can't I just make contributions to a Roth IRA regardless of what my income is? Well, I'm not going to get into tax policy on this video. I'm trying not to put you to sleep. Basically, the very simple concept is that under current rules, under current tax regulations, high-income earners largely are not allowed to make Roth IRA contributions. There's certain breakpoints, and it adjusts by year based on whether you're a single filer or married filing jointly, maybe head of household or what have you. Regardless, there is a certain income limit that disallows you from making direct Roth. There are certain income limits that disallow you from making direct Roth IRA contributions, which is unfortunate because Roth IRAs offer some of the strongest tax and really retirement planning benefits of any account type out there. Just as a reminder, Roth IRAs, by contrast to a lot of other types of retirement accounts, are accounts where money that's contributed to the account has already had taxes paid on it. The benefit there is that the money can go into the Roth IRA, can be invested and grow tax-free over time. There's no taxes on dividends, capital gains, interest, anything like that within the account. And then when you enter retirement beyond age 59 and a half, you're able to withdraw funds from the Roth IRA completely tax-free as long as you meet certain requirements for the account, which most people do. Since you're able to withdraw funds from a Roth IRA without any tax implications, it can be a really strong complement to other types of retirement accounts, whether it's a taxable brokerage account, a pre-tax or traditional IRA, a health savings account, kind of a combination, or real estate holdings, or what have you. A good combination of all of these various assets can allow you to create a tax-efficient income stream in retirement than maybe you otherwise might be if all of your retirement assets were in a pre-tax IRA, for example. So this is a pretty good use case or illustration of the impact that implementing a backdoor Roth IRA contribution strategy can have for a household over time. This is Karen and James Brown. Their household income is right around $575,000 a year, 2 kids, both working. Even if one spouse isn't working, this is still a strategy that can be implemented. But effectively what we do is, starting in the present day in 2026, we start contributing the max contribution amount of $7,500 per person. So we go ahead and make those contributions for James and Karen, and the system is essentially going to extrapolate that out and say, well, we'll continue making those contributions all through the rest of their working years into retirement, effectively. And the impact you can see is pretty noticeable. At age 100, they're able to gain, and this is a projection, with a fairly conservative return of around 5.5% in those Roth IRAs, that they're able to gain almost $2 million in value over time if they're implementing the strategy again for roughly 25 years. The balance or the impact that the strategy has is tied to both returns within the Roth IRA over time, and also, frankly, just the amount of time that you're able to implement the strategy. The other concept I think is important to touch on is, well, why, from a tax perspective, what impact or benefit does this have for me? You'll note down here, there is a projected tax savings of around $266,000 over the course of their entire lifetime. So by no means, like in 1 year, is there going to be that savings, but it's pretty pronounced over time. I mean, this is multiple family vacations or gifts to children, buying, the lake house or the vacation home or what have you. If we're thinking about extrapolating that over, a 25 to 30 year plus retirement. A lot of the impact of that tax savings, as we'll notice, if we zoom in here on, especially these retirement years, this is 2049 and 2050 when James and Karen retire. And you'll see a lot of that tax savings starts to tick up into these later years, especially. A lot of that just has to do with their ability to withdraw funds from their Roth IRAs that they have funded and created while they were working, doing backdoor Roth IRA contributions, that they're able to contribute to those accounts, grow that balance, and then in later years of retirement, withdraw from those accounts to supplement other asset types to create cash flow. And I'll show what that looks like here in a second. So one of the things we're always looking at for retirees is in these first few years of retirement, we like to look at Roth conversions. If you have pre-tax IRAs or pre-tax 401ks, lower, quote unquote, lower income years are really great for thinking about Roth conversions. For doing a backdoor Roth IRA contribution, this is where a lot of the benefit we see start to compound and really kind of manifest, is that we're making these contributions all through our working years when we're making our highest income. Our income's way up here. And then in retirement, sometimes we'll see these red bars or these dark orange bars or what are called required minimum distributions. Those can sometimes be in excess expenses we need, especially later in retirement. If we have Roth IRAs, by contrast, we have another kind of arrow in the quiver, essentially, another approach or means to create cash flow in retirement. And with Roth IRAs, we can do that very tax efficiently. So that's, I think, the strongest argument for doing these contribution types, backdoor Roth IRA contribution types. You don't see a lot of the benefit in the present day. Certainly you're building a Roth IRA balance all through your working years, but there's no tax benefit today. It's really, we see that in our later years of retirement, in some of these early years of retirement, if we're doing Roth conversions, for example. We just have more options and more flexibility when it comes to funding retirement, the more options and more account types that we have to draw on to do that. So all of this is what we call a backdoor Roth IRA contribution. It's a basic standard approach whereby one high income earner and or their spouse makes an ongoing contribution to a Roth up to ideally whatever the maximum contribution amount for that year is. The basic approach works like this. We take post-tax money you've already paid taxes on, contribute it to a traditional or pre-tax IRA. We then wait some period of time and then convert those funds from the IRA to the Roth IRA, and then in turn reinvest the proceeds. The important element of all of this is that we are making a post-tax contribution to your IRA. We'll get into here in a second on why we want to make sure there really isn't any other money in the IRA, a traditional IRA, but essentially you then tell the IRS, hey, by the way, each year I'm making these contributions. There's a Form 8606 that gets filled out that goes along with your tax return. Effectively, you're telling the IRS, I'm taking money that's post-tax, it's already had taxes paid on it, and I'm putting it into my IRA. And then by extension, I'm converting those funds to my Roth IRA. Important caveat or element to add to all of this is kind of what we typically see with clients we work with, what we call a backdoor Roth IRA contribution. There's another approach that you might see if kind of searching in retirement topics of what's called a mega backdoor Roth IRA. Mega backdoor Roth IRA contribution. Similar kind of concept essentially, and really the caveat or kind of disclaimer of this is you have to have a retirement plan through work or as a solo 401k that permits you or allows you to do this. Effectively, all you're doing is putting contributions into what's called an after-tax 401k. You have a pre-tax 401k contribution option, a Roth 401k contribution option, and some plans have what's called an after-tax contribution option. If you're a higher income earner, certainly this is worth looking into. More or less, you're putting money into that after-tax 401k. You're then converting those funds into a Roth, as opposed to just the standard backdoor Roth contribution approach. You can put a lot more money away this way. And the challenge, unfortunately, is just that not everyone has access to those types of plans, but I won't get as much into the weeds, but certainly it's a topic worth exploring and a strategy worth exploring if you have that option available to you. There's some additional calculations that go into this approach. I would say it's maybe slightly more complicated than a backdoor Roth IRA contribution. By no means something that should disqualify you from doing it, but certainly takes a little bit more planning and kind of an approach to implementing that strategy over time. But if done over time, it can have a huge impact. So what are some kind of considerations I want to make in deciding whether a backdoor Roth IRA contribution makes sense for you and for really your overall financial plan? The first concept or first idea that I really want to hit on that needs to be addressed is avoiding what's called the pro-rata rule. And it gets slightly complicated. I won't get too much into the weeds. At a high level, the idea is before executing on a backdoor Roth IRA contribution strategy, you want to make sure you don't have funds in a pre-tax IRA. It gets a little complicated, but effectively, if you have assets in that IRA and you then convert some amount to a Roth IRA, you lose a lot of the tax effectiveness of the strategy to begin with. You then kind of have to determine a percentage of what assets am I converting relative to the other assets in my IRA. A portion of that potentially could be taxable. It essentially kind of negates almost making the strategy worthwhile to implement. And that's why I say this, it's what's called the pro-rata rule. We try to avoid that altogether by not having any funds in a pre-tax IRA. You might be wondering, well, I have an IRA. What can I do? Pretty simply, the option often is just to move those assets from that pre-tax IRA into if you're still working, if you're self-employed, into a solo 401k or to your company's 401k, whatever the case may be. Typically we find that to be the best option to kind of resolve that. I think another consideration, just thing we see overlooked, is just filing the Form 8606 to go with these contributions each year that you're doing. If you're doing your own tax return, make sure you include it. There's like a little bit of nuance when it comes to making this work from a tax perspective. You just want to make sure that you are notifying the IRS, that you're effectively saying, hey, by the way, this is a post-tax contribution. I want to make sure that you're aware of that. Technically, backdoor Roth IRA contributions can actually be done for the prior year, just like you might do for a traditional Roth IRA or pre-tax IRA contribution. If it's 2026 up to April 15th, I can actually make contributions for 2025 into my account and still have that reflected on my return. There's an additional nuance. Filling out the Form 8606 gets a little more complicated if you do that approach. Again, not necessarily something that would negate doing the strategy to begin with, but I think just additional consideration to make. Certainly as part of this, you want to make sure you're not deducting the contribution you make to your IRA. If your income is over $400,000 to $500,000 a year as a household, you're not deducting those contributions anyway. But you want to make sure that someone isn't making a mistake or for whatever reason accidentally deducting that IRA contribution on your return. Not necessarily a mistake or just a consideration, but the longer time frame that you have to implement this, typically the better outcomes that we would likely see. If you're 10 years from retirement even, I still strongly feel like backdoor Roth IRA contributions can be a viable strategy. You can build a decent balance in a Roth IRA, especially if you and your spouse are making these contributions. You could build that balance in a 5 to even 10 year period. The beauty of a Roth IRA is even if we stop making contributions when we stop working, we could still let that balance grow over time into retirement to effectively use those funds later on in retirement or as kind of a supplement, again, to other types of accounts to create that tax-efficient income stream from our assets, from our various income streams in retirement. And lastly, I would just say making sure that you have checked your workplace plan to confirm whether you have a mega backdoor Roth IRA option available. If your household income is $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000 or more each year, a mega backdoor can make a ton of sense. Just making sure that you have enough cash flow from your paycheck to live your life, and obviously, investing in other retirement accounts and what have you. But certainly, it's a strong option to consider. And I think people just overlook it. They just don't know that they have it available just because they haven't reviewed their benefits in a while. The backdoor Roth IRA contribution strategy is arguably probably one of the most overlooked wealth building tools I see across the board among high income earners and high net worth households. I just think it doesn't get a lot of press. There's a slight bit of complication or just nuance to implementing the strategy. There's not a ton of literature on it, and it's honestly probably not something you see in your workplace retirement plans that you might have or things like that. And just I think by extension then gets overlooked. And frankly, a lot of high income earners miss out just because there's a lot of benefit to be had. They're just not even aware that the strategy exists. But if done over, again, 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, the impact can be really meaningful for retirement planning. That is backdoor Roth IRA contributions at a high level. Again, physicians in their 30s or 40s, business owners in their 30s or 40s, or just those who have high incomes and are looking for ways to build more tax-efficient assets across their investment base. And in tandem with that, build a more tax-efficient income stream in retirement as well. As always, I'm Scott Sturgeon, Senior Wealth Advisor and founder of Oread Wealth Partners. We help clients implement strategies just like this all the time. If you're interested, we have lots of content below, or consider reaching out for a free assessment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.